joining us now from Charlottesville, of all places, right in the center, the eye of the Cavalier storm, as they say, the minority leader of the House of Delegates in Virginia, David Toscano. King David, great to have you with us.
Go Who's. Go Who's.
Now, what do you give us your analysis, Mr. Minority Leader? Give us your analysis of the tournament. Give us your bracketology. What do you think?
Virginia 13-1. Boy, what a terrible choice. I'd take those odds, and I think you probably already have. But I think Virginia gets to the Final Four, and they play Syracuse. What do you like about that?
You think they're going to play Syracuse?
Upstate New York, so I like the Qs. And Arizona and Louisville on the other side. And I think Virginia's going to win the whole thing. I was listening to Wally Walker, who was on that great ACC team that won the tournament many years ago.
That was the 70s, right?
That's right, 38 years ago or something like that. And he pointed out one thing that I think people forget. Virginia has shown over the last month and a half that they are the best second-half team in the country. They wear people down, and then they destroy them. And we've seen it, what they did to Notre Dame, to Syracuse, and then eventually to Duke. And I think they're going to do that throughout the tournament. They're very deep, and they're going to go very far.
Well, I think that, too. That it's their size and their depth. The reason they wear people down, Mr. Minority Leader, as you said, is they're a great second-half team because of the depth they have. They've really got 8 or 9 solid players that their coach can rotate in and out. And, you get in that final 8, 9, or 7 minutes, they're constantly bringing in legs. Everybody else is starting to tire. That's what makes them really, really tough, I believe. So I couldn't believe they were 13-1. I got all over that. Now, the two of us have also picked Louisville to get in the Final Four. But tell me, the Orange Men, they're not playing very well. Why do you think they make it?
Because they're not playing very well. Every team goes through a lull, and I think that team has gone through a lull. They had some key minor injuries, and I think the people are recovered and come back. Plus, the zone is something that is very difficult for people to penetrate when they first see it. And I think, when you get in the tournament, I think that gives them a little bit of an advantage.
Definitely that legendary 2-3 zone that Coach Bonheim has. It is. If you've not, it's one thing if you're playing it all the time. If you're in their league, when you're not playing it, you get kind of shocked by the speed at which they're able to get back and set that up, and then you basically can't beat them inside when they're able to set up that way. So you've got to have the hot hand.
Plus guard play makes a big difference in the tournament, and they've got one of the best guards in the country in Tyler Ennis, a freshman that really can make it happen.
All right. Well, the two of us have the same choice to win it all. We got two of the same teams in the Final Four. We'll see what plays out. Common Sense News Time coming up on 7:45. This is the John Fredericks Radio Network. We're with the minority leader of the House of Delegates in Virginia, David Toscano. King David. Now, I want to get to, you had a town hall meeting last night. One of the objectives of Governor McAuliffe in sending all of the House members home was to get back, meet with constituents, get their feedback. And the Maxter was hoping that some of the Republicans would start to hear their constituents say, look, we need to go ahead with MedEx expansion, and their opposition would soften. You had a town hall meeting, we understand, last night, sir, with Senator Edwards. How did that go, and can you give us some of the feedback?
Well, first of all, we invited everybody from the region to come. I'm like a blue dot in a red sea, so there are a lot of Republicans who are right around me. Delegate Landis, who sits on appropriations, Bell, Ferris. We invited them all. None of them came, but, we did extend the invitation. Bill Hazel was there, Secretary of Health and Human Services. And we had the CEO of the UVA Medical Center to try to lend some expertise to their understanding of what was going on with Medicaid and hospitals. Mm-hmm. We had a good crowd, probably 150, 200 people. I think it was probably 70% of the folks thought that closing the coverage gap was a good idea and that they wanted to get their money back from Washington that has been sent to Washington as part of the Affordable Care Act. And one of the arguments I think is starting to have some power is this notion that, you know, if you don't like the Affordable Care Act because of all the taxes involved in it that are getting sent to Washington, you should like closing the coverage gap because you get the money back. You bring it back here to Virginia where it can work for you as opposed to it staying in Washington or going out to Connecticut or, you know, California or Arizona or some other place where they've done Medicaid expansion. I think that's a pretty persuasive argument. It's an economic argument, and it has some power. There was a good crew of Tea Party folks there, and they were arguing their worry about the federal debt, which I think is a perfectly reasonable view to have. I mean, I'm worried about that too, and making a case that we shouldn't take our money back. But by and large, it was a pretty pro-expansion crowd, and we had a good exchange. It was civil. I enjoyed it, and I hope people learned something from it.
Well, I think that's one of the great things about town hall meetings, Mr. Minority Leader, is when you're able to engage in a healthy dialogue. You know, we can disagree without getting mad, and I think that's it sounds like what happened there. The argument about, well, look, the government is the federal government is nearly $18 trillion in debt. Eventually, this money runs out, and Virginia's stuck with a tab. When that question was raised at your town hall meeting, how'd you answer that?
Well, first of all, the federal, in all the years of Medicaid, the federal government has never reneged on any payment that was due under the program. And right now, they are reimbursing us dollar for dollar. For every dollar we put in, they put in a dollar. Under this proposed expansion, for the first 3 years, they pay 100% of the cost. It drops to 90% in 2020. And I think some people worry that at some point the feds will just not have enough money to pay. The way that's being handled in the proposed legislation is that Virginia can opt out if, for any reason, the federal government doesn't live up to their side of the bargain. The other point, I think, and it's lost on people, is that why would the federal government single out Virginia? They would have to single out every single state, and there are 26 states now, I think, that have taken this. And that would be a huge undertaking because can you imagine the firestorm if the feds tried to pull a plug on all the money for all these states? It's not an easy thing to do once the states are in the program. I think it'd be very difficult for the feds to stop sending the money.
Do you think that the Republicans right now, Mr. Minority Leader, have a tactical argument or an ideological argument?
Well, I mean, they have an ideological argument in the sense that they're trying to link it all to the Affordable Care Act. And really, it's not about the Affordable Care Act. It's about getting our money back. If you don't like the Affordable Care Act, let's get our money back at the very least. They have an argument on the budget that I think is a little more palatable. People want to get a budget by July 1st, and some people think that Medicaid is being held, is holding the budget hostage. My response to that has always been, look, Medicaid is a large portion of the state budget. And if we decide to close the coverage gap, we bring money back to Virginia. Some of that money comes right back to the state and has to get reprogrammed in some fashion. The way you reprogram that money is through a budget. And so you cannot really, until you decide the Medicaid expansion issue, you cannot really have a budget. It doesn't work that way because if we take the money back, it frees up money that we're otherwise spending in this budget for public safety, education, and other items that people find important. So, I understand that argument that the Republicans are making when they say let's get a clean budget, but it doesn't make logical sense in the sense that we have to reprogram the money if we bring it back here.
Well, you just heard that ad by Scott Taylor for Frank White. I tell you what, Scott Taylor's a guy you don't want as an enemy. It's a pretty
That was a great ad.
Wasn't that a great ad?
I really enjoyed listening to your ads. And the one about don't hold the budget hostage, I think that just moves right into what you wanted to ask me about. So, I love politics. And so it's very interesting how people spin their various arguments. And, in the end, the public makes their decision.
Well, go ahead, Mr. Minority Leader David Toscano. We're with. That's my question. A couple months ago, same thing. Democrats were saying, look, decouple it, just get us a clean budget. Now, Republicans are saying that. What happened?
Well, first of all, let's put this in perspective in Virginia. We have to have a budget, and it has to be balanced constitutionally by the end of June so that we can tee up the next fiscal year. Since I've been in the General Assembly, which is now almost 10 years, we have gone into overtime, shall we say, which means we've gone past the time that we typically adjourn without a budget. And in fact, the first year down there, we didn't get a budget until my birthday, which is June 28th. And so that was really close to the wall. Right now I think people are posturing a lot, and ultimately we're going to get down to brass tacks and negotiate something, and one side will blink or not, and we're not going to shut down the government. Nobody's going to shut down the government, and if there is a danger of a shutdown, it's probably going to come in a vote in the House of Delegates to either accept a budget that includes some form of closing the coverage gap or not. It's a process. We're going to get to the end of the process, and right now people are very strong in their holding of their positions. But we'll find a way to get to a budget.
7:55, the John Fredericks Show. We're with Minority Leader of the House of Delegates, David Toscano. So, Mr. Minority Leader, unequivocally, you're saying the government is not going to shut down. There'll be some kind of a agreement made, right?
Well, I'm only one of 100 delegates and one of 140 General Assembly members, so I don't control this all. But if history is any guide, we're going to get a budget, and we're not going to shut down the government. Strange things happen around here, and hopefully we don't have Washington-style politics infect our General Assembly. But I think we will get a budget. That's my prediction.
So everybody that I talked to says they're not going to blink. We had the Speaker, Bill Howell, Easy Rider, on yesterday. He said, nope, they're not going to go with this thing. I had Senate Majority Leader Dick Saslaw, the Godfather, on Friday. I asked him if there was any chance that he would go for decoupling, and his answer was zero. And so what happens?
A lot of this is posturing right now. I mean, ultimately, we're all Virginians, and we recognize the need to find a way to get to a budget. There are lots of ways to get to yes, and they don't necessarily look like a straight up or down expand the coverage gap. There are things you can do with the Medicaid Innovation and Reform Commission that will get you there. There are you can do it in stages. There are pilot programs you can adopt. There are a lot of options out there that right now people are not talking about because they're just trying to set the stage for the negotiation. I think that in the end, cooler heads are going to prevail, and people are going to find a way to resolve this impasse. But it probably won't look exactly like people are seeing it right now. It's going to look a lot different.
So, Mr. Minority Leader, are you going to be one of the people leading the effort to find a way out?
Well, I always like to look for common ground, and I'm not in the kind of situation that either Senator Saslaw or Speaker Howell is, because I'm in the minority. But I always make my expertise available to whoever wants to listen to me, and hopefully they will. And I'm happy to sit down with anyone and talk about a solution. Okay.
Well, look, we appreciate your time. We've been with the Minority Leader of the House of Delegates in Virginia, David Toscano. King David, we appreciate your time, and I hope that your predictions pan out. One, that there's not going to be a government shutdown, and number two, that the Virginia Cavaliers take it all.
That's right. 2 predictions by me. I hope they prove out.
All right, sir. Thanks for being with us. Take care, John.